Yes, it is.
And kingdom living is more than bread or clothing or housing. It's a Christ first thing. If you're in the kingdom living, it's got to be Christ first. Comfort is not necessarily part of the kingdom for you. You know, having all your needs met, all your bills paid, and all that stuff, that may not be God's plan for you at this time in your life.
That's right. Amen.
There's been times when I've told people that you can't afford the tithe. That when they were telling me they were taking half their pills and all this other stuff, and I was telling them, if you can't afford your prescription, then you can't afford the tithe. And I was telling them, God will provide for somebody else. Yet we've been here 22 years, so the spirit was right. You know, sometimes you may have to tithe in your time. Do a little more than you have been doing.
Amen.
I can remember, you know, like cutting grass and stuff for the church when I first got saved, because couldn't afford to pay the full amount of tithe, but I figured I'd give the Lord what I make per hour on my truck. That would have been in my tithe, and so Lord, here's what I can do for you right now. And I believe God honored that. You know, and as I look back at the 3 years or so that we went through, or the 2 year and a half we went through with no income from a company or a corporation or whatever, and the Lord paid my house note, the Lord paid my food, you know, gave me a link card. You know, I'm a brother that never thought he would have link or food stamps. I can remember when I was in high school, my sisters would send me to Jewel with food stamps, and I'd wait till the line was empty, because I wouldn't want nobody to see me paying for nothing with food stamps. And my sister be, you ain't ashamed to eat that food with food stamps. And I'll be like, you know, but I'll be playing it off. I didn't want none of my friends to see me paying for nothing with food stamps. You know, I had a lot of pride. And then I remember, you know, you had to tell them at the register, it's with food stamps. And you know, I try to say, it's with food stamps. What? It's with food stamps. And the lady be like, what do you want, young man? It's with food stamps. What? You know? And then they got to the change, when they wouldn't give you back money, they'd give you food stamp change. You know, see, some of y'all have to Google it. You know, I'm just saying. I can remember shooting dice in school for food stamps. You know, when a brother didn't have money, you had to give me 2 food stamps dollar for a real dollar. You know, when we was shooting dice. You know, stuff like that, you know. I'm just saying, when God is taking care of you and providing for you, sometimes it may be from a mysterious way.
Yes, that's right.
But I mean, he paid our house note for a whole year. You know, he paid our utilities. You know, things that God paid for. You know, I had the wisdom to sign up for an insurance policy to cover me if I got sick. The first time it covered me $1,500 a month when I had a cornea transplant. So when I got back from work, I doubled the policy to $3,000 a month. $3,000 a month. And then when I got sick, I had $3,000 a month coming for 6 months straight. But God had given me the wisdom to do that, and then all the while I was waiting for unemployment to kick in, and then the guy, I kept going back and forth with the unemployment people, and they didn't have this and that, and I had to fax them stuff over and over, and I had my fax machine like 50, 60 pages of stuff, and I sent it to them 3 or 4 times straight. Whoever was on the other end of that, I was burning up all their paper, because I kept sending them the same forms over and over. They said they didn't get it all right, here they all are, ready again. But I kept persevering until I got what I needed. But as I look back through that season, that God paid all my bills. He paid all my bills. We had 2 car notes that came to over $1,000 a month. Without a check coming in and 2 car notes that were over $1,000 a month. Not counting the insurance, the insurance and all this other gas, fuel and everything, but God provided.
Yes, he did.
So I'm just trying to tell you, I know my God is a God of provision. I know my God is a God that will bring you through. I know my God is a God I can brag about it. You know, I'm just saying, he said, don't boast about anything, but I can boast about my God. Because my God is a provider. And he has provided for me, and he has kept me, and he has sustained me. And when you walk out in faith, just believing that it will happen. What they call crazy faith. I just believe it's going to happen. The world look at you and think you're crazy. But you say, oh, my God will provide. If you have a desire in your heart and it lines up with the scripture and it lines up with God's plan for your life, then God will make sure that it comes to pass. You got to have that kind of faith. You know, I just think back at the generations. If I think back, you know, my grandfather was born a slave, you know. And that's my grandpa. My dad was that old when I was born. But my grandfather was born into slavery. When I checked his genealogy and everything. And he came from Virginia. And I just think back to maybe there was a slave praying one day that his descendants would be free.
Yes.
And his descendants, he may have been living in a slave shack in Virginia with the little walls where you could see through the wind whipping and all that stuff. And I think about how he was struggling and he was praying one day that the generation would be free. And then I think I had that gift passed it on and it passed on. And I think we had a 2-bedroom house with like, 26 people living in it at one time with 1 bathroom. You know,
Yes, Lord.
and now I have 2 full bathrooms and another bathroom and all this other stuff. And the house that I grew up in would fit in my living room and kitchen with no problem and room there. But I'm just saying how God will provide for you, how God will bless you. And when I bought the house, I told her, oh, I got to get a riding lawnmower. I ain't gonna drop dead out here trying to cut this grass. But I'm just saying, I had to get a snow blower because I ain't gonna try to shovel. I remember I was so excited when I got in the house, I was snow blowing neighbors' sidewalks. Some of these big old, 5 horsepower stuff that throw snow all in the tree. I went all down the block and back, and I was just blow driving, doing other people's driveway. Just, blessed.
Yeah.
You're just so blessed, you just, I'll knock it out for you. And that's when you serving God and you're handling God's business, He'll put you in a position that when you bless, you will bless others.
Amen. Yes. Amen.
God is a God. If you take care of His business, He'll take care of your business. So this man told Jesus that he'll follow him. Jesus said the foxes have dens and the birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head. See, this man asked for something that really wasn't his to have. Do not be impulsive with your walk. It's more than emotion in the kingdom living. It's more than bread, clothing, and housing. It's Christ first. You may be homeless. You may be hungry. You may be lonely. You may be hurting inside. But the peace that surpasses all understanding shall come over you like a wave of comfort. The peace that surpasses all understanding. You got a bunch of family members that don't know the Lord and somebody passes away. They want to argue about this and that, and people arguing over this and that, and who should get what, and who should get that. I'm just, even when my father-in-law passed away, and I told my wife, let my mother-in-law and her sister have whatever inheritance he had. So God, we have a house. We got everything we need. So she signed over what was coming to her because she had a right to half of everything they had. I told her we are provided for. And we were able to just tell them, take it and go. There was no argument about this and that and who should have this and who should have that. When you walk with Christ, these things mean nothing.
That's right.
They really don't. I looked at when my grandmother passed. We had a right to part of that house through my grandmother, but how many grandkids she had by the time she died? So if you were divided between the 80 or 90 of us, plus there was living and throwing the grates and all them, there was a whole bunch of us. And so when we all got our $10 a piece, it wasn't worth arguing about. I had a friend of mine at Calvary that they bought a house out there on Book Road, brand new house, with the money they sold from their 2 grandmothers' home. The 2 grandmothers passed away, and they both had enough money combined to buy like a $350,000 house cash.
Wow.
I'm like, man, that was never even on my radar. But see, but when God provides, God provides.
Yes, He do. Amen.
In John 6:66 through 67, from this time many of His disciples turned back and no longer followed Him. Then He looked at them and said, do you want to leave me too? And Jesus asked the 12, there's people that are going to turn back when you're serving God. There's people that were so tight with you, that were so close to you, but when you start serving God, there's a gap. There's a Holy Spirit gap between you and them. There's a Holy Spirit gap between what they want and what you want. And you realize the people you used to party with and stuff, that stuff it doesn't mean anything to you no more. When I look at these people that are still doing the same thing they were doing 20, 30 years ago, sitting around drinking every weekend and looking at somebody else's house. I run into relatives of mine that carry a flask of liquor.
Wow.
I was a drinker, but I never carried the whole thing with me wherever I went. That you have to have a drink constantly. You can't party, you can't sit down, you can't think. I remember we had kid birthday parties and we would get mad at the kids for getting in the way. Because we get to drinking and partying and barbecuing, even though it was a kid's birthday and they may have a kid cake, but the adults just took over the party. And like, these kids in the way, y'all go outside and play. And it was actually their birthday, you know. But I'm just saying, you know, when you're caught up in their world, you don't think right. And tell somebody, I've came too far to turn back now.
Amen. Too far to turn back now.
I gotta keep my hand to the plow.
I gotta keep my hand to the plow.
The plow.
Yes.
What did Jesus tell you about that plowing? He said if you look to the left and right, you're not gonna be plowing straight. If you're looking back while you're plowing, you can't trust the ox because the ox is just walking. Jesus said when you put your hand to your plow, you can't just stop in the middle of this thing. You can't like take a break. You got to finish that row. So when you're plowing for the Lord and you're doing what the Lord has called you to do, once you take that plow, if you say this is what I want, if you say this is what I'm going to do, if you say this is how I'm going to dedicate my life to the Lord, if you say I'm going to serve the Lord from now on, once you put your hand on that plow, you can't just turn back. It's not, Jesus said, I'm married to you.
That's it.
And Jesus don't believe in divorce. Jesus said, we are married. He said, I'm married to the backslider. So even if you acting crazy, they doing what you're supposed to do, he said, you still my spouse. We still married. Sure. So you can never take it personal when people turn away from you. It's God's plan for you.
All right. Amen.
It's God's plan. Some people, God has already planned to get them out your life. Now, some of y'all automatically done had somebody pop up in your mind that you're hoping God will move. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that right now, that God's going to get these people out your life because they work your nerve. You know, don't be saying, amen, you know, Lord, have your way, have your way. You know, that's not what I'm talking about. But there's some people that you thought would be with you and that are faithful and good people, that they were there for a season.
Yeah.
There's some people in your life are there for a season. Some people are part of the scaffolding I was telling you about. It's part of the construction. You know, you see all this equipment and forklifts and all this stuff when they're building your home. You see all the boxes of stuff. But when they finish, I want to see grass they planted. I want to see what they finished. I don't want to see the forklift sitting in my driveway when my house is finished. You know, I don't want to see all these carpenter trucks and electrician trucks and all that stuff up in my driveway when I'm trying to pull in. Once the project is finished, it's time for them to leave. And there are people in your life to help you with construction in different periods of your life, but they're not there for good. And that's why you can't take it personal. You can't take it personal when God moves people out of your life. You gotta realize your season is done. Your time is done. Because as quiet as it's kept, God gonna take people out of your life permanently.
That's right. Amen.
Some folks gonna die. Or you may die. So there's some people in your life, regardless of how much you love them and how much you care about them, they're not there forever.
That's right.
They're not there forever. You know, and as I look, you know, I hold my latest grandson, and I look at the distance between us is 62 years.
Little Jeffrey.
That's a lot of time. When I hold this little fella and I think we got 62 years apart, and I'm telling the Lord, well, if I make it to his graduation, I'll be pushing 80. You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm just saying in terms of, you know, when you get to look at that reality.
Amen.
And when I'm holding this little dude, I'm thinking, wow. So there ain't many basketball games and stuff I don't foresee in our future. Right, throw catch and throw something out, you know? You know, he been over to pick that ball up and he got to help me straighten up. You know, I mean, I just don't see that.
Wow.
So we gonna have to work on mental things. Learning how to play cards, you know, dominoes and things like that, you know, I'm just saying, you know. But as I hold him and I look, he's the promise of my future.
Amen.
He's the promise that God said that though I won't live forever, my generation will keep going.
Amen.
I'm already holding my next generation.
Amen. Come on,
you know, and that's what God is, a generational God. And then sometimes I hold him and I pray in his ear and I say things in his ear and I ask for blessing for him.
Amen.
You know, I'm speaking things that I may not be there to say it to him when he's at that point in his life, but I'm speaking them in his life today. I'm speaking those prayers now. I may not be there when you get to 20 years old. I may not be there when you get to 30. But I'm speaking a prayer over you right now that may kick in when you are 30.
That's right. Amen.
When you're somewhere in a dangerous situation and you're somewhere going through something right now, when your mind is confused and you feel like you want to take your life or whatever you're going through, I'm speaking encouragement into you. I'm speaking future into you. I'm speaking a hedge of protection around you and your situation. If you're in a situation where a relationship may be breaking up and you feel like you just want to give up or you want to hurt the person that wants to leave you, but I'm speaking right now that you will have a sound mind, you will have a sound spirit, and you will know that this is only for a season. That this too shall pass. This too will speak to the future. Speak to the child when you hold that child. You speak blessings over them. You speak prosperity over them. You speak health over them.
Come on now.
Speak to that future. Jesus says, speak to that thing and it will be done.
Amen.
So that's what I'm talking about. You know, some people want to turn back on you. Don't even worry about it. It was all in God's plan.
Amen. Amen.
Matthew 20:20 talks about a mother's request. Then the mother of Zebedee, the sons, came to Jesus with her sons and kneeling down asked for a favor of him. She come all proper and giving him respect. Kneel down. Be careful, people willing to kneel down. Give in for you. They want you to give them something up front. Be careful of that. People that always come bearing gifts, wanting something. You know, you got to watch out for those people. But she kneeled down and asked a favor of him. What is it you want, he asked. She said, grant that one of these two sons of mine may sit at your right and the other at your left in your kingdom. He said, you don't know what you're asking for. Jesus said to them, can you drink the cup I'm going to drink? We can, they answered. Then Jesus said to them, you will indeed drink from my cup, but to sit on my right and left is not for me to grant. These places belong to those for whom they have been prepared by my Father. See, that seems like a good request as a parent. You know, you want your kids to be hooked up. Whatever, you know, you see Jesus in this kingdom thing, seems like it's taking off. So I want them to be part of your foundation. You know, people talk about how much money Bill Gates has. But if you look at the other guys that work with him, they don't mention them. But the guys that helped him start Microsoft, they had a special on him on Prime Video. Bill Gates, when he started out in the garage with all these different guys and the other guys with him, they were just as wealthy as Bill Gates. When they split up, they were just as wealthy. They had the same blessing. They had the same anointing on their life. One spent the rest of his life just giving away stuff. He tried to give away as much money as he could because he was dying of cancer towards the end. He's dead now. But he spent the rest of his days giving away stuff and blessing people. Because he had come to the point where he realized money wasn't what it was about. That he couldn't take it with him. He didn't have a family, he didn't have any children or wife or anything, so he just started giving away his wealth. And then Warren Buffett and Bill Gates and all these people have made the pledge. Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook, they pledged to give away half their wealth. And they've done it. These people gave away half of like $40 billion.
Wow.
You know, just give it half. And they gained back that $48 billion. It's a trip. You know, that's an Oprah gives away so much money, but Oprah keeps coming back.
Yeah.
That's a kingdom principle. As you give, it will come back to you. As you bless others, you will be blessed. You know, sometimes you can't outgive God. You know, you got to realize this principle. And this mother talking about when you come into your kingdom, make sure my boys are taken care of. Hook them up. These sons of Zebedee, the sons of thunder. Yeah, they want to curse folk. Jesus, these people don't want to listen to you. Should we call down thunder like Elijah did? Let's wipe this village out.
Oh boy.
No mercy, no grace.
Nothing.
And so many Christians forget where they were when Christ met them. And so many Christians forget how they used to be. I thank God He's placed so many people in my family that can remind me. Anytime I think I've got too holy or too much, I run across a cousin or somebody that let me know. Oh, you remember back in the day?
He got $1 million
They will tell you in a heartbeat, you used to do this, you used to do that. And I want to tell them, do you realize the term you're using is a past tense term? I used to do that. I don't do that no more. I used to go there. I don't go there no more. You know, sometimes you sit there waiting and anticipating, Lord, let me just cuss out these people. Can I have an hour to just call certain people? And I want to send them a text ahead of time, let them know I'm calling you at 11:53. Be ready. You got 11:55. You know, whatever, you know. Oh, yeah. 12:01, expect a call. You know, you can just line them up. You know, Lord, 1 hour is all I need to tell all these people, and I want to make sure they're available when I tell them. You know, so you can't play that with them demons. They try to get your mind and thinking about how you could just tell them what you think. But when Jesus talked about that, the cup of Christ can be sweet to the taste, but it's bitter going down at times. Oh man, he told Jeremiah that the scroll is going to be good to your taste, but it's going to be sour in your stomach. That cup of Christ, it can taste sweet when you first get in it. One time when we first got saved, Janice and I was bowling, and I was beating Janice, and then Janice looked up and said, "You praying, ain't you?" And I was praying to beat her in the ball again. You know, and I won. But I'm just saying, you know, every little bit it helps get you the way you need to go. And I didn't notice she had noticed that I was praying about it, but I was focused and concentrating on, I can't let this woman beat me in bowling. Yeah, it's a male thing, it's bragging rights. I can't let my wife beat me bowling. You know, and I think we both bowled about 67 or something like that. You know, somebody 65 and 67. Those of y'all know a good bowling score is like 300. So I'll just let you know. 250 and then you're a good bowler. If you still in the 60s, maybe softball is your game. You know? But I'm just saying. Man, but I can remember just telling people when I lead them to Christ that pray for me. Because I believe during that honeymoon period, God answers your prayers quicker. When you're a new saint, you're a new believer, God's trying to show himself to you, God's trying to show himself real to you. So I tell them, pray for me. Whatever on your spirit, just pray for me. Because you got that inside track. God is trying to win you over. God is trying to show you that he answers your prayers. You know, he answers mine, but he takes his time with mine. So I want you with that inside connection to pray for me. But that cup of Christ is, when he told him, can you drink of this cup? The cup of Christ is a light cup, but it can be too heavy at times. You know, it's a light cup when you take it up, but sometimes that cup is filled with so much it's just too heavy to lift it. Sometimes that cup is just overwhelming. You know, the cup. He said, can you take this cup I have? Sometimes that cup has a lot of stuff in it I don't want.
That's right, amen.
You don't remember back when I was a child, if you tried to sniffle or something, they give you castor oil. Or cod liver oil.
Oh, yeah.
And she got to the point in the winter where she felt like a spoonful of cod liver oil every day. It was good for her. And y'all know I don't even eat fish. Today, maybe that's probably the reason why I don't eat fish. But that drinking cod, a teaspoon of cod liver oil, or a tablespoon, it was big. I don't know what the size. It seemed like it was like a serving spoon to me. And that stuff would be all slimy and soaked, and it wouldn't want to come up. And I'd be wanting to throw up, and she be looking like I'm going to get that belt. If you throw up, I'm putting that belt on you, you know. So I had to keep striving to finish that thing. I was like, oh, man. But that cup, sometimes that cup has stuff in it I don't want. Sometimes that cup is too heavy. It's filled with stuff that's not for me. Sometimes I want to share my cup.
Okay.
And sometimes I get a Lord alternatives. You know, I'm over here getting beat down. What about so-and-so? They ain't right. You know, you give a list of people. Lord, I ain't trying to tell you what to do, but I do have suggestions. For other folk, you can put that cup on. And sometimes the cup is full of wisdom. But this wisdom is foolishness to the world. You know, when you say God is first in my life, or you say serving the church or going to church is first in my life, then people think that's foolishness. People say you tithing when you're broke. I remember when we first got saved, I used to have Janice write the check because it's a lot of money coming on. And I remember Pastor Neighbors and I sitting there, and he talking about tithing, and I'm talking about, man, I already got a fire going in my debt. And you saying pour more gas on it.
Right.
You saying I can get set free by paying God first, when God had to get in line behind all these other people. I gotta pay Ford, I gotta pay Nyco, I gotta pay all these other people. And then we go back and forth, and then he said, you gotta trust him. And I'm like, that's easy for you. I've been living check to check for many years. But then to trust God, and trust God with what you have. And trust God, and I seen he was taking things out of my life that I was wasting money on. He gave me wisdom on where I was blowing money. You know, I could take a lunch instead of buying a lunch every day. You know, that's $50 a week. You know, you could look at different lunches, and then sometimes, you know, you want to splurge a little bit on the road. You got to look at it. And then I started realizing I ain't got to do that. I can take a lunch.
Right.
Ain't nothing embarrassing. I was in the truck, but nobody in the truck but me. You know? Got me a Stanley soup thermos, got me a Stanley coffee thing, and I was good to go. You know, God will give you stuff that lasts over 8 hours. Stanley promised you this stay 8 hours in there.
Good investment.
You know? But all that was wisdom that God gave me while he was trying to heal my finances. That God was trying to show me he had a better way. He started making you look at things that you could do. But it's foolishness to the world. Some people got to have status. You know, you may have a car you can't pay for. What good is a beautiful home if you're worried about keeping it all the time? You know, things like that is stressing you out. 2 car notes, so you working for your bills. You know, sometimes that stuff look at you and say, wow, what can I cut in? What, do I really need this? Like my policy has always been to keep a paid for vehicle. So if they repo that one, I ain't walking. That's just something I follow that policy my whole life. I've always had one paid for. You know? So, you know, I can get smart with GM. They come get it if you want it. You know, because I ain't walking. So I'm just saying, that foolishness of the world, Christ will give you. I remember one time I was arguing with the people from the cable thing. And that's when they first got that disconnect over the line. And I was talking smack, but yeah, you know, blah, blah, I'll pay you when I get it and all that. And all of a sudden the cable went off. And they had come up with the automatic disconnect from where they was at. And I'm like, oh man. TV went blank and I'm looking at, oh, they got me. you know, I'm just saying. Sometimes you have to learn, boy, speak before you, without knowledge. Then the cup of Christ is a cup of vision. But the vision has to be open to changes. Sometimes people get locked on a path. The Lord has told me to do this, and the devil's just testing me, and the devil's just trying me. It may not be the devil. Sometimes it's your stubbornness to not readjust to what God is doing something new. Or God is trying something new. You know, the story was told about there was the captain of the big storm, and he was going through the storm, and the message came to him, adjust your course. You're getting too close. And he said, you know, this is a great ship that holds thousands of men. You adjust your course. Then the message came back again. You need to adjust your course right now. You're getting too close to me. He came back. I'm Captain so-and-so with so many years experience. I will not adjust my course. Then the man came back and told him, I'm the lighthouse. So if you don't adjust your course, you're going to hit these rocks. So, you know, sometimes you got to realize you ain't in control. You have to adjust your course when God is telling you to adjust your course. You know, sometimes people don't look at what you lose when you make a big change. Sometimes you have to change for what's better. Sometimes you got to let go of what you have to get to the better. Sometimes you got to change your routine. You got to shake it up. You got to shake it up. Because some of us are so locked into where we at and what we doing that God couldn't tell you to change your mind. No, the Lord wants me to hold on. The Lord is telling me to be faithful. The Lord is telling me this is his plan for me. You got all these things the Lord is telling you. The Lord is steady telling you. I didn't tell you that.
All right.
That's you. That's your dogged determination. So make sure it's God telling you that vision.
Amen.
Then the cup is based on faith. Faith in what is not seen, yet filled with trust of the Lord. Faith and trust. You gotta trust God. I'm gonna tell you, You never trust flesh and blood. But I do trust God. Because God has never failed me.
Amen.
And people will tend to say he hasn't failed me yet. There's no yet with God. There is no yet with God. There's not coming a day that he will fail you. There's not coming a day where he won't be able to do it. The Bible says, is his arm too short? You know? Is God's arm too short that he can't deliver Israel? He asked them straight up, y'all acting like I don't have any power. Y'all acting like I can't change hearts and minds. Y'all acting like I can't change destinies. I can't change future. People all moaning, talking about what if Trump get elected again? We'll still be America. Trump has only got 4 more years. If he does get 4 more years. And with the way they've been investigating him for 4 years, he'd be a bigger fool than I thought he was. If you want to sign up for another 4 years of them looking at everything you do, them trying to get you all the time, man, take your retirement and move on. I cut a deal with him. Y'all quit investigating me and I will leave peacefully. Give me a pardon on everything you think I've done. Everything you think my children have done. And we will go back to Florida because we can't go back to New York because they want to put them in jail in New York for us stuff. So we'll go back to Florida and we won't even go through New York. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes pride will bring you down. So verse 59, he said to another man, follow me. But Jesus replied, Lord, first let me go bury my father. Now this person had personal business to handle over kingdom business. Here. Because the man said, Lord, let me bury my father. If his father was dead, the Jewish custom is to bury you within 24 to 48 hours. So he wouldn't have been there trying to listen to Jesus preach anyway. He should have been making funeral plans or at the funeral. So when he told him, let me bury my father first, he was saying in terms of, let me get my inheritance secured. Let me get my finances together, Jesus, and get my house and everything. When daddy dies, I'll come serve you. That's what people were saying. Man, Jesus is cold. He told the man, follow me now. You know, sometimes we got every excuse for why we can't follow God. Every excuse why we can't make it. But I'm going to tell you, if you step out the boat into that water, you will not sink. In Luke 22:49, and the NIV says, why were you searching for me, he asked. Didn't you know I had to be in my Father's house? And the King James has said, and he said unto them, how is it that ye sought me? Why is ye not that I must be about my Father's business? So Jesus is asking you, when he calls you to follow, don't give Jesus a bunch of excuses. Don't come up with all the reasons why you can't follow. Don't come up with all the reasons why you got to do this and I got to do that. If God is calling you, you got to have it within your spirit that I'm coming now. He told Peter, step out the boat now. He didn't tell Peter, wait till you feel like you'll float. He didn't tell Peter, wait till you feel like this thing is going to work. He said, Peter said, Lord, command me to come to you. And Jesus said, get up and come. Simple as that. Now, Peter had to exercise his faith. He had to get up and go. Even when the children of Israel, when they were crossing over in the Jordan, going into the promised land, the water did not recede until the priests put their foot in the water. When the priests stepped out in these raging waters that were at flood stage, I was watching Lake Michigan this week or whatever with all the storms hitting these people's houses and all this stuff, and people talking about the shore is gone and it's up to the 2nd floor with the waves and all that. And it says in the Bible that the Jordan was at flood stage. But they had to step into flooding water. But once they stepped into the water parted. Once they exercised that act of faith, the water parted. Some of the things that are drowning you, some of the things you're going through, some of the strain you're going through, some of the things in your life right now that seem like they're overwhelming, they're driving. It seems like one problem has another problem, that problem has a problem. When it starts to get overwhelming, you see like, where am I going to get the money? Where am I going to get the finances? How am I going to get help with this? Who's going to help me with my child care? Who's going to help me with my health care? Who's going to help me with my parents? All that stuff get piling up on you. But when you walk out in faith, these things will kick in. It's the faith. The trust in God, that cup of trust. When you trust the Lord, it will kick in. It's faith that'll get you there. He said, I got to be about the Father's business. When you take care of God's business, he'll take care of your business. Verse 60, Jesus said to him, let the dead bury their own dead, but you go and proclaim the kingdom. See, everything that distracts you from the kingdom business is really dead business.
Yes, it is.
Let the dead bury the dead. Dead gossipers, people with chronic conditions. I had to go to my Webster and look up chronic. It says continuing for a long time, constantly reoccurring, lasting more than 3 months. Then it says developing slowly or of a long duration. You know, very bad, very serious condition. You know, there are people that I know that are chronic complainers. They've had it more than 3 months. There are people I know that have complained about the same thing for more than 3 months. There are people that say they still can't do this and I can't do that because they chronically in doubt. You chronically thinking it won't happen. You chronically thinking it won't provide for you. I just remember, you know, being on jobs and stuff, and I told the people I don't work Sunday. And I had to stand on it. I had to tell them, well, I quit. I worked at the post office and everything. I told him I quit. Man gonna tell me you gotta work Sunday. It's not fair to everybody else. Well, that's fine. Well, you find somebody else to work here. Because I quit. And the man called me back and that's what I mean. And I was willing to go find another job. Because I had made up in my mind that I'm gonna serve God first. And I remember when I was working there, there was a New Year's Eve service, a watch service, and it was during my shift. And I was telling man, I really need to be off. We can't spare you. We can't spare you. But another driver was standing there. And he said, I used to be a police officer in Chicago, and I know with the black church and the watch service, that's really an important thing. He said, I'll take your shift for you. I told him, man, I'll pay you. You know, I'll give you $100 or whatever. No. He said, I'll do it. God had that man there to listen at the time that I made the commitment. I said, I've been at this church for every watch service. I can't miss it. It was something that was just in me. I can't miss the watch service for this, you know, driving this mail truck. Which I didn't like it anyway. But anyway, you know, the point being is when you stand for God, you stand for what God is telling you, God will provide for you. If you set a standard that God has said this won't change and I can't change this, then God will honor it.
Amen.
But I wanted to, you know, I remember I couldn't do funerals and stuff during the day because of my shift. I'd be at work. Then I prayed and God opened up for me to do nights. And not the late nights, but it was a decent 7 p.m. is a lot better than coming in at 11. But God opened it up. I was able to do funerals. I was able to meet and go places where pastors go, you know, and all that stuff for full-time pastors do. But I was able to make that. Because God opened that door because I was willing to sacrifice. The job paid less money than the union job. It didn't have the benefits that Teamsters have. It didn't have all that other. But you know, funny thing happened? I left Teamsters and went to all these non-union jobs. And today I'm drawing a Teamsters retirement. That God had already secured my Teamsters retirement.
Come on now.
You know, I mean, y'all.
Yes, God is good. Come on now.
I even got a letter from a job I worked 1 year. Told me I had a retirement coming.
Come on now.
As I contacted them and they said it's like, you know, $10 or whatever. You maybe want to wait till you get 65. I'll be back. I want my $10 when I get 65. You know, you owe me $10. I want it when I get 65. You know, I'm just saying. Hey, you know, hey, that might be a happy meal. Whatever, you know, but it's something like I'm just saying. If I earned it, it's mine. Simple as that. Then Social Security kicked in and told me I worked long enough to get paid there. I've been working since 1972. I looked at that bad. I was 16 when I started working for Social Security. And they had all that little stuff I made for each year and all that year and everything. I'm like, wow. And it was all right there for me to read. How God was planning for me. And right now, I still can preach without getting paid. Because God is paying me.
Amen.
Through what I did years ago.
Amen.
I'm trying to explain the concept of how when you trust God, God will provide.
Yes, He will.
You know? Didn't mess around and send me enough money to pay all my credit cards off and 2 vehicles. You know, they sent me a check for $32,000. I ain't never seen $32,000 at one time. And the Lord sent me that check. You know, I've had some big checks, 15,000, 100,000, you know, I mean, not 100, but it's future. But anyway.
Amen. Speak that thing.
Yeah, amen. When you look at it in advance, I'm like, we'll be sending you a check if we sorry it was late. Boy, it was not late. He was an all-time guy.
Yeah.
And I was able to get debt-free.
Praise God.
Something I never could do, working 42 years.
Wow.
That's crazy. That shows you how God, if you stay with him. But you got to be willing to step out. It is. Man, I'm just telling you. Still another said, I will follow you, Lord. But first, let me go back and say goodbye to my family. Jesus replied, no one who puts his hand to the plow and looks back is fit for service in the kingdom of God. Man, Jesus, I can't go back and say goodbye to mama. Big mama, none of the people, come on, man. Let me just go back and say goodbye. Yeah, these people been there with me. Well, why would Jesus tell you don't go back to the people at home? Because then the people going to tell you, are you sure? Is this really God speaking to you? What about it? Who going to take care of your parents? Who going to do this and that? See, when you decide to follow God and people going to ask you, why are you dropping everything right now? Why are you following God today? What's so important about it right now? You got to ask him. The Lord is calling me now. Just as when he called Samuel. Samuel had to drop what he was doing and go straight to the Lord. And the Lord said, he had to tell him, speak, Lord, because I'm listening. There comes a point in your life where you got to be listening for God. Amen. And if he told you to grab that plow, you got to grab it and march on. And if mama don't come, daddy don't come, cousin don't come, twice removed brother don't come, whoever it is, that's right. You got to let them go. There was a time when I felt guilty about not making so many family functions. And I apologize to some of my nephews and stuff and them on Facebook. I'm sorry I wasn't here for this and that. But then as I got to meditate, there's a lot of family things I miss. But there's things that I'm called to do with the family of Christ. I don't miss many things with the church. Right. So he said that is my family. That's my eternal family. And that makes my worldly family upset. But if they knew Christ, they'd understand. Because when it's kingdom business, I handle kingdom business first. Amen. Because if I don't take care of his business, he won't take care of mine. He said, far be it from me. If you dishonor me and you don't know me, then I don't know you. And I don't ever want him to say, depart from me, I ain't never met you. That's a deep... Ooh. I preached, I taught, I laid hands on the sick. You talking about you ain't never met me? I tithed and gave up money I could have spent. I could have had that Lexus. I'm just saying. I done gave up some stuff. There were times when I was a young man, I used to think, just for wild thoughts about the money I was making if I was single, what I could have. Like the money I'm making now, boy, I could have a vet. I could have a nice house. Every now and then you let your mind just run. I'm making good money now, And boy, if I could have this, I could have that. Then I had to stop myself. Hey! Because if I leave, she taking half anyway. So the vet ain't coming in. Right. Unless I get a contract. Right? But then, what I'm saying. But you can't let the devil mess with you, Because he get to telling you what you could have had or what you may have had, and you get to thinking, no, that wasn't the plan for me in my life. So you got to realize when God has a plan for you, walk in that plan.
More to a shit that.
Amen. Don't let the amen. My first point, don't be too impulsive serving Christ. Count the cost first. Don't get too impulsive. People say, oh, Jesus calling me, you rush right out. Cut everything loose. That ain't what God is calling you to do. God is calling you to pray about things. Don't worry, but God can make it without you. He's made it before you got here. He'll make it here after you're gone. And so many people think it is so important to Christ. I look at churches when the pastor dies and nobody is set up to take over stuff, and they go through all this turmoil and they go through all this stuff, and some ministries even have died. Because these people could not release their earthly hold on their ministry. The other day I was looking at a clip from Tony Evans, and he was talking about how him and his wife had finally promised to take a vacation. They've been busy so long for so many years that they kept saying, this